What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we're gonna go over 10 things DC wants you to forget about Deathstroke. Number 10, Deathstroke as a father. Deathstroke is surprisingly part of a family that has a similar skill set to him, but this doesn't mean he's a good father, not by the slightest. On one account, an interaction between Slade Wilson and his son Jericho shows the anti-hero's true colors. One time, Jericho was actually kidnapped by a terrorist and used as leverage against Deathstroke. The terrorist wanted Wilson to spill the information that he knew, or else they would kill his son. Well, being the respectable father he is, Slade declines the threat, and the villains of the story cut Jericho's throat. Ironically, however, our uncanny hero is able to save his son's life, but this doesn't make up the fact that it allowed it to happen. Number 9, Deathstroke in Smallville. The portrayal of Slade Wilson in the TV show Smallville had many fans upset because the character wasn't even Deathstroke but rather just Slade Wilson. He had the features and the characteristics that defined his comic book source material. For example, he had an eye patch over his right eye and also had a daughter named Rose. But it doesn't take away from the fact that in Smallville, this version of Deathstroke was absolutely horrendous. Going even further, it was Darkseid that was influencing Wilson's actions. Even though Smallville was highly praised and adored, DC surely wants us to forget about this weak attempt at this anti-hero that many consider to be one of the most independent and badass characters in the universe. Number 8, Deathstroke versus The Flash. Many fans have agreed that Deathstroke is highly intelligent and tactical when it comes to fighting his opponents. The deadly assassin is able to identify weaknesses and properly use his surroundings and situations in his total favor. But when it comes to fighting someone like the Flash, readers can't help but read over Slade's intelligence and rather look at how stupid the Scarlet Speedster looks. There's one moment when Deathstroke sets up a series of explosives purposefully, thus forcing the Speedster to dodge them in a very predictable manner. At the very end of this, the Flash runs directly into Wilson's sword. Really? If anyone can outsmart and think around Deathstroke's tactics, it would be the Flash because of his super speed that would allow him to think at super speeds as well. Nonetheless, DC wants us to forget the times when he just made the Flash, one of their most iconic heroes, look like an idiot. Number 7, Deathstroke and Deadpool. Many of you probably already know this, but Deadpool is actually based off of Deathstroke. From the costumes, backstories, abilities, and even name, Wade Wilson and Slade Wilson, respectively, the two are mere carbon copies of each other. With the recent explosion in popularity of Deadpool, it's no surprise that DC wants us to forget that Marvel basically ripped them off. The matter of the fact is that because Marvel makes Deadpool such a laughable and out of ordinary character, they are indirectly belittling DC. Marvel was able to take the idea of Deathstroke, give him a crude and dirty mouth, and the result was Deadpool being massively more popular than the original assassin. Although DC has tried to improve their character over time, it's no competition when it comes to popularity in the general public's eye. Maybe once Deathstroke debuts on the big screen, this scale will be a bit more balanced. Number 6, Deathstroke Losing His Eye. Many fans who aren't avid readers of comic books now might be convinced that Deathstroke lost his eye due to an unfortunate arrow shot by Oliver Queen in the hit CW show. In reality, the backstory behind this event is entirely different. The story actually relates to one of the facts we already mentioned earlier, the one about Deathstroke being such a bad father. Since Deathstroke refused to give up his information, he was forced to fight off terrorists, otherwise known as Jackal, with his wife. We know what happens in the end, and you can imagine how angry his wife was. Well, she was angry to the point where she took a gun and shot Slade in the eye. This was before the assassin gained his regenerative abilities, so the eye was lost forever. Number 5, Deathstroke and Convergence, The Atom. This comic book might be one of the weirdest and clunkiest ones to be written in recent time. The writers wrote this in hopes to further the depth of the Atom's character, but the end result was just an awkward and uncomfortable storyline. From the artwork, dialogue, and action sequences, the story just felt so out of place. The way Deathstroke was portrayed was ridiculous. Judging it from his artwork alone, it seemed like any hero or villain could defeat the almighty assassin in a heartbeat. With this, alongside his out-of-character dialogue, this comic book is definitely something you want to forget about, especially if you're a Deathstroke fan. Number 4, Deathstroke's original backstory. You might be asking why DC wants us to forget about Deathstroke's backstory, and the reasoning is that it was just too happy for such a solemn and deadly character like Slade Wilson. The reason why Wilson was able to become such a skillful and effective assassin was because he first enrolled into the army at a young age of 16, which he lied about just to get in. On his journeys, he fell in love with Captain Adeline Kane in Korea, and they two hit it off immediately. Adeline eventually helped Slade master many different types of fighting until he was a complete and total master. The two even got married, and the portrayal in the comics makes readers feel happy and compassionate for the couple. However, after a series of emotionally draining events, Slade becomes Deathstroke and the happiness and love is almost entirely left behind. Number 3. Deathstroke the Pirate. When Flashpoint was created, so was a whole different and absurd version of Deathstroke. In this reality, Slade Wilson is a pirate, and with the help of his crew and ship, readers see as the pirate assassin goes around and steals loot from the neighboring ships or villages. At the same time, he is also on the search for his kidnapped daughter, who is still Rose in Flashpoint. There's even one moment in the comics where Deathstroke comes face to face with Aquaman and ends up getting a trident stabbed right in his chest. With the help of sonar, Deathstroke is able to be somewhat successful in his battles and even manages to get Rose back. Sonar eventually betrays him, however, but us knowing Deathstroke's true abilities and strengths, Sonar's betrayal is basically a death sentence. Number 2. Deathstroke in television. Deathstroke gained popularity when he was introduced in the Arrowverse and has been a part of the series for a few seasons. Manu Bennett plays the assassin, and fans have grown to love the actor and the character, especially with the new season. However, with Ben Affleck's rendition of a solo Batman film coming up, it might cause a bit of conflict. Ben Affleck tweeted some time ago a leaked short clip of Deathstroke in an upcoming Batman film he is attached to. Fans had their mouths drooling because it would be the first time the assassin would be introduced in the DCEU. With that being said, DC might want us to forget about the CW version of Deathstroke because they would most likely want our heads turned to the cinematic version of Deathstroke that they plan to release. Number 1. Deathstroke The Terminator. Deathstroke was first introduced in Teen Titans number 2, which was released back in 1980. He was first a straight up villain and a lot more different than the Deathstroke we know today. Even his name was different. To readers, when Slade Wilson was first introduced, his official villain name was Deathstroke the Terminator. The name is quite fitting though, as at the time, the assassin was truly a killing machine. 4 years later, however, the Terminator movie was released and Arnold Schwarzenegger took the spotlight when people thought of the word Terminator. Because of the immense popularity that the movie franchise gained, DC decided to strip Deathstroke's full title and just keep it as Deathstroke. And that is it for the video, guys. As always, thanks for watching. We hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Valenplana, and I'll see you all later.